Hello and welcome to the Our Dad Stamps YouTube channel, where we talk about all things related to stamps and stamp collecting. My name's Pete West and I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please click on the like button and don't forget to subscribe to get regular updates of new content. Hello again from Our Dad Stamps. Today's episode is all about my recent visit to the Autumn Stampex in London. But before we start, I'd just like to say how blown away I was by people recognising me and stopping to have a chat whilst I was at the show. It's really appreciated, and I just want to thank you guys because it makes what I do here all worthwhile. So thanks to the people who stopped me. Hope to see you again at the next stamp show. Meanwhile, on with the podcast. Here we are at the Business Design Centre for the second day of the Autumn Stampex. So let's go in and have a look at what's there. In the entrance hall there's always a load of booklets and leaflets from the various stamp dealers that are there. And usually I'd pick up a load of these and just take them home to have a look through later. But as I'm going to be flying back and this will be in my hand luggage, it's probably not a good idea this time.
But those are all free, just to help
They're
yourself?
They're all free,
too?
just help yourself, right. Yeah. And here we are inside the Business Design Centre, and this is looking down from the front. You can see a few little stalls at ground level, which we'll see as we walk in a moment. And then on the upper level, on the first floor level, at this side there is all the major stamp dealers, and then this is the view from the other end of the building, which is the marketplace. And here are lots of tables with other stamp dealers selling their stuff, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this one later on in the show. So here we are inside the Stampex. And as we walk through, we'll just see what's there. The first one you see is the Stanley Gibbons stand. Then we need to go up. There's a few other stalls on that level which we'll look at. And then we go up to the first floor level. And this is where all the major dealers are stationed. And you can look at all their stuff.
So basically these people sitting in the chairs are just going through stamp albums and deciding what they want to buy.
Yeah, generally on this level or this sort of dealership, you would have an idea of exactly what you want and go there with your list.
So these people looking at stamps, is there only very high value stamps there? So it's only stamps above £50, or are you likely to get stamps for a couple of pounds?
No, there's all sorts. There can be very high value stuff, as we're just about to see, or the smaller stuff in sets and collections, or individually. So you can get anything you want. So
you can either just go and browse and have a look and see if there's anything you want, or people have particular lists and they will go and say, have you got these stamps? Yes, that's it. People will go and present their list and say, have you got this stamp, have you got that stamp, and gradually tick off the ones they get if they can find them. So this particular dealer, I'd just like to highlight, I love going past this dealer. It's BB Stamps, which specialises in Great Britain stamps. And we've got here a tray of £5 oranges. Each one of those stamps is valued at about £3,000 or above. So on that one tray alone, there is something like £250,000 worth of stamps. And it's just, you're never going to see something like that anywhere else. So I do think this is one, I've never bought from this place, but I just like looking at their displays. And are they for sale? Yeah, each one of those is for sale. It's a bit difficult to see, but the yellow labels are the price for each one of those stamps, and as I said, they start at about £3,000 upwards. So it's there's good stuff. So it caters for the high-end market as well. Yeah, especially this one, and this is a whole tray of penny blacks. and we also have a whole tray of Tutney Blues. So there's a small fortune on this one stand of the dealership. And as I said, I really enjoy looking and seeing things that I could never hope to own.
But it's a good opportunity, though, for people to actually see in person.
Absolutely,
those stamps. Yeah. So I can understand that.
That's it. It's just, it's like being in an art gallery, if you like. It's looking round at the masterpieces, And whilst I was looking around, I came across this tray, and I have to admit, in my badly disorganised way, I haven't got a note of which dealership this is from. But these are all stamp boxes, and it's a whole tray of various stamp boxes that were used largely in the Victorian and Edwardian era. A lot of them are made of silver, and they're for carrying your stamps around with, because why wouldn't you want to have one? I just think they're really fascinating, and it could be something I could get into collecting.
I was going to say, I can imagine if you want to collect something small that's not going to overtake your life. And these were for sale as well, or was this just a display?
No, all of those were for sale. I think the cheapest was just under £100, and I did have a look through the internet, and you can pay thousands of pounds for them as well. But I think it's fascinating, and it's a really interesting piece of antiques. Moving on round the upper display, as I said, this is the main dealers, and as you can see there's people, all of them, looking to buy or just looking, and it's a whole range of, some dealers are specialising in UK stamps, some specialise in American stamps, some are just general.
And can you sell your stamps? So if you've got some marvellous collection and you approach some of the dealers, would they be prepared to look at your collection and buy from you? They would. Yeah. So it's buying and selling.
So if you, yes, as you say, if you bring your collection in or a specifically valuable stamp, they're not going to buy. They're not going to pay £50 for a set of stamps. But if you've got something worth having, they will have a look for you, and in many cases will give you an on-the-spot valuation. So yes, it's worth doing for that. And then, as we saw at the beginning, at the end of the hall is the marketplace, and this is my favourite part of Stampex. Here you have all the dealers with tables of loose stamps or sheets of stamps or books of stamps, and you can spend all day there, or I could spend all day there, just looking through the sheets and the albums, all of which are for sale. So here you can buy individual stamps that are just loose in a box, and you can sift through all the stamps. Say, well, I want that one, that one, that one, that one, and probably pay 10p or 50p for each one, depending on the quality. But you can also buy somebody's old collection. You can buy just one page out of somebody's collection, and it's a great place to have a rummage. And I spent a lot of time there and spent several £100 there. So
did you now?
Indeed. And then after I've spent all my time looking around the marketplace, there is rows of large stalls like these where the mainstream dealers are. And as I said before, all of them carry a good stock, so you can take your want list and possibly fill up on everything there. And then dotted around are displays like this one. Unfortunately, the light wasn't very good, and I haven't been able to get particularly good photos. But these are exhibition displays. So this is someone who's put together, in this particular case, this is the South African dromedaris penny stamp. And it shows the process that it went through from start to finish, with the frame being printed off first to make sure that the printers were happy with that, and then the centrepiece put in. And then there's other displays of all sorts of things. This is a display of Granada stamps, and these are individuals have put together these collections of something that they have found interesting, and just gone more than collecting one of each stamp. There's a story behind each display, whether it is the whole set of stamps, whether it's the development of stamps for that particular country, or whether it is one particular stamp with all the varieties. And this last one I've shown on here is a display of penny blacks, and it is plate 5 only plate 5 of penny black. And the person who put this display together must have spent an absolute fortune, because you know penny blacks aren't particularly cheap, and there are loads of them, as you can see on display. So whoever put this together not only had a huge knowledge about the plate 5 penny black, which went through various stages of repair apparently, but also spent a small fortune putting this together. So yeah, it's quite impressive. And then the final bit on our little tour of the actual stands. Oh, well, I just thought that was quite interesting. It was a Machin a representation of a Machin made out of buttons. But right at the end there is a display by Extreme Philately. And for those of you that don't know what Extreme Philately is, it's an idea that was started where you find a stamp and then try and take a picture of it in the actual position where the stamp is depicting. So like this one is a lighthouse with the lighthouse behind it. This one is a rose with the rose behind it. So you get to see what the stamp is and what the real item looks like. So it's quite a nice idea, and it's going big on Instagram apparently. Have a look on Instagram, Extreme Philately, and you'll come across loads of examples. I spent a lot of time at the Stamp Active stall talking to the guys there, who were very helpful. And Stamp Active are a voluntary organisation that are encouraging children to get into the world of stamp collecting. They spend a lot of time with schools and speaking with children to encourage them to take up this hobby. And in actual fact, there were a few schools in Stampex whilst I was there, and they were giving a talk about how they could start stamp collecting and the sort of things they could look out for. And it's going very well. Apparently the guys on the stand said it had been really well received this year and had lots of visitors. So it's encouraging news for the future. And whilst I was there, I started talking about my grandchildren and how I was trying to encourage them to take up stamp collecting. And they very kindly gave me a free gift, a free pack that I could send on to my grandkids. And hopefully they will take it up. And this next little video shows what was in the pack, and it was quite amazing. So I'm very grateful to Stamp Active, and thank you very much. Okay, so this is the package I got given by Stamp Active for my grandchildren, and it's something they've given away to anybody to try and encourage youngsters to take up stamp collecting. So let's have a look, see what's in there. So first of all, there was a box of stamps, loose stamps at the show, and you could help yourself to 20 stamps, which I didn't choose to do, but certainly the kids that got one of these had the opportunity. So that's a nice start. So this is a pack of space-related stamps. As I said to the guy, that my grandson was interested in space, so hopefully this will get his interest going. And by the looks of it, there's a few envelopes here of different covers, which will, with some Australian stamps and some American stamps. Lots all the same, but never mind. I'm sure you can make use of those. A leaflet about joining kids stamps. So if they join, they get put in touch with the nearest stamp collecting club, plus there's an introductory pack and loads of bits and pieces, so that might be handy. Some more stamps and some more covers. Queen's birthday from Vanuatu. A few stamp hinges to get him going, so that's good. This was something that the kids could do at the Stampex show, which includes things like word searches and looking for various answers throughout the stamp show. There was a display next to the Stamp Active which was all about animals and answered many of these questions, so it gave the kids something extra to do and finding different stamps. And then we've got a few albums. So there's the first album, ideal for kids starting out. A fun book answering some questions and bits and pieces, bits of information about various stamps, and a stamp collecting guide. All useful stuff for kids, plus another cover and some free stamps. So yeah, very nice presentation pack from Stamp Active. Thank you very much. Yes, so it's a great organisation and certainly is the future of stamp collecting. And they're always after help and contributions. So if you have anything, get in touch with Stamp Active and I'm sure they'll be very grateful. I spent so long at Stamp Active that I actually missed the start of this next talk. This is Graham Beck from Exploring Stamps, #philately. And he gave a talk about social media and the internet and its impact on stamps, which was really interesting. And afterwards I chatted with him and got to know him a bit more, which was very nice. And his talk is actually available on Facebook. So if any of you that weren't able to get to Stampex would like to have a look at the talk, I'll put the link in the notes and you can have a look at it there. The first 3 or 4 minutes of the video is actually sideways on, but then the person using the camera actually realised and straightened up a bit. So I'm sure you'll be able to work your way around that. But it's a very interesting talk. So have a look. Okay, so that was my couple of days at Stampex. I hope you enjoyed this little tour. I would strongly recommend that if you get the chance to go to any stamp exhibition, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in America, whether it's in Europe, they're definitely worth going to. They all have their own little quirks, but basically follow the same format where there are exhibitions, there are mainstream dealers, and there's marketplaces. So get stuck in and get to your next stamp exhibition. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. Don't forget you can visit my online stores at eBay and Delcamp under the name of Our Dad Stamps, where I have over 2,000 items for sale. Please join us again in 2 weeks' time for another edition of Our Dad Stamps podcast.